How's it going, guys? So I was doing some riding around, putting some new tread on my tire, getting a little bit worn down, and doing a little bit of riding around dam site. And I haven't shown you this yet. This is the Amphitheater, not this. It's behind it. And what it is oh man, I got really short gear legs. Oh, I'll pop this vent open so I can breathe and not fog up. Okay, so this is the Amphitheater, not this part like I was saying, but it's back behind here, and I will show you. It's actually a cliff that you jump off into the water. I think it's one of the biggest cliffs that we have. I could be totally wrong on that because there's a lot of cliff faces, but you know, the one that's semi-relatively safe, and that's really not that safe. Me and my buddy Tyrell, we jumped off of it one time, but the water was actually up. The water's down right now, so you're probably gonna see a really big drop. Whoa! Or you're gonna see me trip on my face from tripping over a rock. Yes, it was a rock. Oh, yeah. Man. But yeah, it was funny because when we jumped, we came out here. We've been jumping off the cliffs over here at the main swimming area, and we're like, man, the water's kind of high, so let's go check out the amphitheater. And we came and checked it out, and there was a group of people here, and they were like mustering up the courage to jump, basically. And like me and Tyler, we just kind of went over to the edge and looked over at it, and we're like, okay, yeah, this ain't bad. A little scary place, you know. I had my buddy Tyrell with me, so you know, it's like on the courage, because you're like, oh man, I gotta do this. It was funny, we were just kind of talking to the people, and we were like taking off our clothes and shoes and whatnot and getting ready to jump. And we're just like kind of nonchalantly talking to them, and then we both just take off running and jump off the cliff. And you think we would be screaming? No, the girls that were up here were screaming for us. So it was really funny. Crazy thing actually about that, I'll tell you here in a second. But this is the amphitheater. As you can see here, oh, please don't like fall. Woohoo! Oh yeah, this sucker is low. But I mean, you can see how big of a drop this is. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, some people would probably climb down there and jump off, you know, a little bit lower. And that's more like the cliffs that we have here. But this is dam site. It's a man-made lake. It's basically full of nothing but rocks. It's like all rocks everywhere. You got cliff faces on the side, jump off of. The old Heber Springs is down at the bottom. I mentioned that before in one of my other videos. But they actually have to keep feeding fish into this lake because it doesn't have its own workable ecosystem yet. So they're constantly having to put fish in here, and it's going to take so many years, quite some time, for it to actually develop its own like real good ecosystem. The only problem is there's so many rocks. I mean, you can see right here. I mean, it's just rocks. I mean, and of course, all the plant life's pretty much died that was here. But all rocks, you know, so, but this is a really cool spot. I really enjoy this spot. It's actually been a while since I've been here. You wouldn't want to jump off of it now because you can see the rocks down here. I mean, sure, you could probably jump far enough, get in that dark spot, but there's no telling how deep that actually is, and you sink when you go into this thing. Now, where you climb up at is actually around here. And climb up the cliff face, of course. But what I was going to say about that earlier, let's see what we got. Okay, so when I jumped off of it, the water was probably where that tree is, a little bitty leafless tree. It was a little bit higher than that, somewhere right along like the cliff face with the right here. So considerably higher. Of course, the lakes were low right now, but we jumped a few times, and we were climbing up at one point, and I looked down, and there's one dude that finally jumped that was in another group, and, you know, I was watching him, he was coming up, and I was like, I'm like, what is that? Something behind him, and it was a snake. And we're like, oh, dude, you need to get up. Come on, there's a snake behind you. And he did. He freaked out and he got up here. It was pretty funny. But, I mean, this is what we got. This is Grizz Ferry Lake, y'all. I mean, rocks, cliffs. The water's actually really clear. So it's actually pretty cool. A lot of scuba divers and stuff will come and scuba dive in the lake because it's such clear and there's, you know, a lot of rocks. I mean, this is a tourist town, Heber Springs, and, you know, we get people coming from all over just to come to this lake. And so that's pretty cool. And, you know, they do all kinds of stuff, and a lot of people lose a lot of stuff too. I mean, I know divers to, you know, come up with phones that were in waterproof cases that, you know, still worked kind of thing. So it was actually pretty cool. People find a lot of stuff. I'm not sure if anyone's actually ever explored the old Heber Springs. I think there might be a few people who might have if it's not too deep. But it's like, from what I understand, you know, they made the announcement and, you know, plan, and there's still, you know, stuff on shelves in old stores and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty cool. Another thing that we have here is the dam, and near the dam, supposedly, legend has it that we have catfish here that are about the size of cars. Now, I believe I spoke to a diver who's actually experienced the catfish, and even if they're not the size of cars, you know, they're really big catfish, like retarded huge. I know I've had a lot of stories from fishermen who have been, you know, fishing off the bank, and would lose poles, or, you know, one guy, he had a huge pole, huge line, you know, he was wanting to catch a big one. What he ended up getting on the line almost dragged him into the water. It did drag him partially into the water, and he ended up having to let go of his pole because he didn't have a knife or anything to cut the line with, because it was back on the shore and he couldn't pull back because he was getting dragged in. So, I mean, there are some pretty big fish in this lake for sure. Whew. Get that heavy breathing down. Get all up in this gear and stuff. I really want to go take my motorcycle and do a drive-through of the swimming area, but there's no vehicles allowed. And I've already asked about it. It's been a while. But yeah, they're like, yeah, no, you can't do that. No. I was elected to lead, not to read. I was designed to ride, not to walk. I'm actually really out of shape, to be honest. Just because I don't do anything besides work and ride. I need to start working out, but it's going to have to take, I mean, to be 100% honest, it's either going to take a good buddy who goes to a gym, or it's going to take a sweet young thing and be like, will you work out with me, please? Oh yeah, baby. I'll get jacked for you. Yeah, ripped. Steroids. No, I'm just kidding. I would never take steroids. Steroids are bad. Bad to the bone. Wow. Oh yeah. Got that wind in my hair.